I'm a big fan. I'll try and articulate my question. It has to do with the role of testosterone and maybe some consequences of it and what we can do about it. So if it's not related to aggression, but it's related to an increased reward for status, where does it act in the brain? Does it act in the brain? And then, given that so many kids may suffer, especially these days, with impacts in the brain that might affect their aggression as adults, given the violence in the world today, would a pharmaceutical route be at all suggested before any kind of cognitive training? I mean, because it's the drug industry will latch onto anything, but I feel like that's something they haven't done. But I don't think that's a long-term solution either.
Great. Okay, which part of the brain has the most receptors for testosterone, the most sensitivity to it? Makes total sense. The amygdala. The amygdala is ground zero for sensitivity to testosterone. Does testosterone cause amygdala neurons to fire to, in effect, invent aggressive outputs? Not at all. If and only if the neurons are already firing, testosterone makes them fire faster. Testosterone does not turn on the martial music, it ups the volume if it's already been turned on. Now, in terms of, okay, so let's make the world a much better place here. How about we get rid of all those males? Okay, maybe not that. Okay, so at least let's castrate. Well, no, that's not very well. What about, okay, how about if we pharmacologically block some of the effects of testosterone? And what you see there, besides it being mighty scary, is a track record of not working very well. In a number of places on Earth, the two places where it has most been explored is, big surprise, India and the state of Texas. There have been state-ordered chemical castrations, drugs which are given which block testosterone receptors, which is in effect the equivalent of removing testosterone from the scene, usually for intractably violent sexual offenders. And what the literature shows is essentially it has no effect whatsoever. Because such aggression has very little to do with aggression. It has very little to do with sexuality. It has a whole lot to do with domination and fear and issues like that. Pertinent to that, you take any male on Earth of any known species and take out his testes, and that almost certainly was the first experiment ever done in endocrinology about 10,000 years ago when some bull chased some people around the backyard one time too many, and they wrestled him down and got rid of the testes, and suddenly he was a much more tractable male. If you castrate a male of any species out there, on the average, levels of aggression go down. They never go down to zero, though. And the critical thing is the more experience that male had being aggressive prior to castration, the more it's going to stay there afterward. In other words, the more experience you have with aggression, the less it is dependent on hormones, and the more it is a function of social learning. So that, unfortunately or otherwise, is not much of a panacea there. Let's see, final question.